What's going on, Imperials? It's Emperor Cubone here. We've looked before at where to get all the legendary Pokémon in the first 4 generations of the games. So if that's what you're looking for, go there. However, my plan was to simply cover the rest, but with the proliferation of legendaries in the later gens, it makes putting them all in one a bit time-consuming. So, in effort to not take up a full hour of your time, let's just cover Gens 5 and 6, shall we? In Generation 5, the first legendary, and Pokémon, in the Dex is Victini. You can find the Victory Pokémon at Liberty Island, a location that you can only access from a boat in Castelia City if you've gotten the Liberty Pass event item, so it's not exactly casual friendly. But you also have to fight off some Team Plasma grunts to reach the end. Now for the box art legendaries, Reshiram and Zekrom. These dragons are found at the climax of the story after the initial Elite Four battle. The legendary of the opposite shade from the game's name will come to you in your time of need to fight Team Plasma, and you can then capture it. Of course, the third dragon, Kyurem, can also be obtained in the Giant Chasm, an out-of-the-way cave area in the north above Route 13 through a tree maze. But once you make it, this dragon is up for grabs. Also in caves are the Swords of Justice. Firstly, Cobalion can be found in Mistralton Cave on Route 6, using Surf and Strength. This is also the only place where you can catch an Axew, so that's pretty handy as well. Terrakion is inside its own section of Victory Road, and to find Virizion, you have to head back to Pinwheel Forest to access the other areas that you couldn't go to before that were cut off by HMs. To get Tornadus and Thundurus, after beating all the gyms, you go and talk to the people in the house on Route 7. Once you exit, the weather-based legendary will then fly off. At this point, they will be roaming around the region, but it's pretty easy to know when you're on the same route as them, because a massive storm will appear in the overworld until you leave or run into them. You can only get Tornadus in black and only get Thundurus in white, but you're going to need both of them if you want the third one with Landorus. If you take these roamers from both versions to the Abundant Shrine off of Route 14, you can get the third member of their trio. Now, Gen 5 also gave us full sequels instead of a third game, so a lot of these changed in Black and White too. After the main story, you can visit the ruins of Inn's Castle, where you can catch whichever dragon you didn't get last time. Well, actually you get their colored stone item, and then if you take that to the top of Dragon Spiral Tower, you can then catch the legendary mascot. But that's not the only Pokémon on the box, since they are fused with Kyurem. After you've already fought Kyurem for the first time, and caught your dragon, you can return to the Giant Chasm and get this Icy Husk, as well as the DNA Splicer to fuse them. The Fighting-type quadrupeds are also in separate locations. This time they'll just kinda show up randomly along your journey. After you run into Cobalion on the road, you can find it standing on Route 13 before you get to the Dragon Gem. After another city, you can then find Virizion in the same manner on Route 11. You really can't miss them. And Terrakion can now be found past Humalau City on Route 22. You can just leave these Pokémon standing in the road for as long as you want until you're ready. But if you do defeat them, they can come back after you beat the Elite Four. And there are also a number of past legendaries, starting with Latios and Latias over in the Dream Yard. They will appear once you enter, and then you have to chase them down back and forth until they finally settle down for you to catch them. You can also get a Heatran. If you surf out to the end of Route 118, there's not really much there, but there is the Magma Stone. So if you grab it and head back to Reversal Mountain, making your way to the right chamber, you can get Heatran there. But if you hop out of that mountain to the Strange House, you'll be on your way to a Cresselia. If you go in the house and solve a sort of maze, some ghostly girl will give you the Lunar Wing. So if you then go to Marvelous Bridge, you can encounter and capture this moon-based duck thing. The Lake Trio from Sinnoh are also once again available, and it's actually really cool. As mentioned before, these entities embody the human aspects of knowledge, emotion, and willpower. So, fittingly, you can find Yuxi at the museum in Nacrene City. Mesprit is at Celestial Tower, the graveyard site in the Unova region, and Azelf is found on Victory Road, the very spirit of determination personified. Also, I had no idea that they had the Regis in these games either, but apparently they do. You can get Regirock inside the clay tunnel in the underground ruins. And once you get it, you'll unlock a key to get another one. Regice for White 2 and Registeel for Black 2, also found in the underground ruins. But you could share these keys across the Unova Link feature, so you don't actually have to trade to get them all. And of course, bringing all of them together gets you access to Regigigas inside Twist Mountain. There were also events for Keldeo, Meloetta, and Genesect in this generation, with some unlockable in-game dialogue and scenes based around their items or moves, but there's no way to see these mythicals otherwise. But there were also cool distributions for the Unova games for shiny versions of the Sinnoh Dragon Trio, as well as the Johto Beasts, but there's no way to get them now if you missed out on them then. Now, getting to look into the generation that launched on the 3DS, we find X and Y, which compared to last time feels like there are almost no legendaries around. Obviously, the box art Pokemon Xerneas and Yveltal are first, and really you don't have to do much of anything. The story takes you right into the Team Flare headquarters where this Pokemon is lying in wait, so just be sure you're ready to catch it once you go to fight the evil team. The only other new legendary in X and Y is Zygarde. This giant green slug thing sits in the depths of Terminus Cave on Route 18. You can go and get it at any time after you've become the champion. Just be ready for the challenge. And be sure to get all the goodies strewn throughout its lair as well. But in case this minimal amount of new makes you nostalgic for Gen 1, you're in luck. You can also catch Mewtwo in the Kalos region because... I don't really know why. I guess Clement made it? Anyway, after beating the Elite Four, you can go to the Pokemon Village, where a cave is no longer blocked by an NPC. Sounds familiar? You can enter and catch this level 70 Psychic type, and snag the accompanying Mega Evolution Stone, depending on your version. And if that wasn't enough for you, why not go ahead and catch the legendary birds as well? That's right, this Kanto trio once again appear as roaming legendaries. However, things are a little different this time. Firstly, you can only get one of them. The bird in question appears based on which starter you select, lining up with 1, 2, and 3. After you beat the Elite Four, the first wild Pokemon will automatically be the legendary bird, to let you know that it's around, but it will immediately run away before you even have a chance to take action. You have to run across it in this manner 10 more times before you can then find it as a stationary spot in the Sea Spirit's Den at Azure Bay. Now, while the Kalos Dex does continue a bit more with a few mythical Pokemon, you couldn't actually find them anywhere in the game. Diancie, Hoopa, and Volcanion were only available as downloads, whether over standard internet with a serial code, or even from McDonald's. But once you've downloaded these new Pokemon, you just walk into any old Pokemon Center, talk to the postal worker, and there you go. That's it. It's pretty anticlimactic. But at least Hoopa and Diancie have special interactions if you trade them to Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, where you get a Mega Stone for Diancie and the Prison Bottle for Hoopa, allowing you to change it into the Unbound form. And that gives us a nice transition to talk about those games, because there are certainly a lot of legends that you can get in these remakes. Most of them are the same ways that you can get them in Gen 3, like with Groudon and Kyogre being in the Cave of Origin and Sootopolis in their versions, just this time having a primal reversion to deal with. A similar thing happens with Rayquaza, who is still at Sky Pillar. However, there is a new story arc surrounding it in the Delta episode. If you follow the story, it should lead you right to this newly mega-evolving dragon. And during the course of the mini-narrative, you can also encounter Deoxys. This was a huge departure from previous entries, where this mythical was only obtainable through outside means, for the first time being catchable in the standard game. I really hope that more mythicals might get this treatment in future remakes. The Regi Trio are also found exactly like they are in the original games, requiring the same arbitrary maneuvers to unlock these 7-eyed golems. However, when you catch Regice, you'll want to nickname it this time. Why? Well, because you can now get a Regigigas, and it too has absurd specifications. Once you capture all 3 Regis from their ruins, on Route 111, 105, and 120 respectively, take them all back to the island cave where you found Regice during the daytime. As I said before, it needs a nickname for some reason. I just called mine Regice, since that's how some people pronounce it anyway. And it must be holding a frozen item, including a Nevermelt Ice, Snowball, or Castelia Cone. I have no idea why these stipulations are so random, nor so focused in on Regice specifically for that matter, but that's the only way to get the colossal Pokemon in Oros. Latios and Latios also make a return, but you don't have to track them down this time. In fact, it's pretty much the exact opposite, since after talking with Steven on Route 118, you're taken to the southern island, and one of these legendary Pokemon will simply join your team halfway through the story. However, if you wanted the other one for your version, you could have gotten it through the Eon ticket, either by distribution or through Street Pass, which takes you back to the southern island to get the opposite Lati twin normally found in your game, which was quite useful for me to get my Latios in Alpha Sapphire. But besides simply overpowering the player, one of the main reasons the Eon Pokemon are gifted to you is so that after you've dealt with the threat of the main story, you can soar around the region. Not only is this a great method of transport, but it opens up a whole new world of legendary Pokemon for you to catch. But before we get into soaring spots, let's go over a few that have opened up that you might have already been to. Sea Mauville takes the place of the abandoned ship on Route 108. After searching this derelict project for the scanner item using Dive, you can give it to Captain Stern in exchange for either the Clear Bell or the Tidal Bell in their own versions. In Omega Ruby, if you take this bell to the highest point, you can go through the portal and find Ho-Oh. And in Alpha Sapphire, if you plumb the deepest depths of the water, you can find Lugia. A similar scenario is centered around Heatran as well. If you go to Route 120 and find the Scorched Slab, this Lava Dome Pokemon will be just sitting there several basements deep waiting for you. But on the plus side, it seems that you don't need the Magma Stone this time. You can just go and grab it. But all of the other legendary portals are found through Soaring, signified by a red twinkle over areas of interest. And the first one that you'll probably be able to find is the Nameless Cavern next to Sutopolis. I say this is the first since it's unlocked by having at least 3 Pokemon with maximum happiness on your team. So if you don't have even half of your team happy by the end of the game, you're doing something wrong. But this location houses a portal to catch the Lake Trio. Now you can get all 3 of them, but it does require some work, since they are all accessed from the same portal, but at different times. From 4 o'clock in the morning to 8 PM, you can get Mesprit, and from 9 PM to 4, you can get Azelf. That just leaves one solitary hour at 8 o'clock in which you can get Uxie. I have no idea why they're so drastically different in their claims on the hours of the day, but just don't make any plans around 8, okay? But once you have all 3 and soar with them in your party, you'll notice a massive rip in the space-time continuum over Dewford. When you go inside, you'll find either Dialga or Palkia in separate versions. And if you get the other dragon from a friend or a different game, and carry both Gen 4 mascots back to the same place, you can enter the Rift once again to catch Giratina this time. So once you've gotten your Johto game mascot, you can put it on your team while you soar to unlock the Trackless Forest by Rustboro, where you can catch all of the Johto beasts as well. And they actually stay put this time. But they operate on a similar time card as the Lake Trio, just shrunken down a bit more to one individual hour. During each hour, for the first 20 minutes you can find a Raikou, the next 20 have Entei, and Suicune can be found in the last 20 minutes. So you can have multiple attempts at these legendaries a day if you need it. And this setup is also in one other location, the Pathless Plain. This spot, near Pacific Log Town, requires 3 Pokemon with max EVs on your team, which again shouldn't really be a huge problem this late in the game. The portal here will give you access to the Swords of Justice from the Unova region. However, this rotation will truly test your patience, since these Pokemon only appear on certain days of the week. Cobalion for Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, Terrakion on Tuesday and Saturday, and Virizion on Monday and Thursday. Probably one of the easiest ones involves Cast Form. If you take this Pokemon that has been gifted to you into the sky, you'll notice a massive storm cloud over Fortree. and when you go inside, you can get either Tornadus or Thundurus. And like the Sinnoh Dragons, if you get them from both versions, and take them back there, you can get the third one with Landorus. And if any of the Pokemon in your team are at level 100, you'll be able to visit the fabled cave close to Mauville City, in which you can gather your version-exclusive Zekrom or Reshiram. And as you might have guessed, getting both of them onto the same team will allow you to find Kyurem. However, unlike all of the others, it's in a different place. The boundary Pokemon is found in the Gnarled Den on the back of Mount Chimney. And as before, be sure to grab the DNA Splicer while you're there. And lastly, the Crescent Isle predictably gives you access to Cresselia. However, this one is not necessarily within your control. It's simply another one of the random Mirage spots that change daily. But if you're lucky enough to find this one south of Evergrande City, you can capture the lunar Pokemon for yourself. Gen 6 also saw the 20th anniversary of the Pokemon franchise, during which they decided to give away every mythical Pokemon, one for each month of the year. This was brilliant for players everywhere, and really helped out trainers like me who never had the privilege of even trying to get them in previous generations. This means that if you followed all of the aforementioned steps that I've laid out, you could have easily gotten every single legendary in the entirety of the Pokemon world. If only it could have lasted. But those are the locations for every legendary Pokemon in Gens 5 and 6. What do you think is the best way to get a Pokemon Legend? Let me know down in the comments. Also be sure to leave a like, share this video, and subscribe so that you too can become an Imperial today. And we'll see you around next time!